The movie begins by showing a boy named Oscar who is practicing taking revenge. In reality, he has always been bullied by other children. He never has enough strength to stand up for himself or take revenge. Night, he finds happiness just by imagining that he is taking revenge on those who hurt him. One night, while practicing revenge, Oscar sees a girl of his own age through the window. Her name is Ellie, and she has recently moved into the neighboring apartment. She lives with just one man. Oscar doesn't show much interest in them and sleeps with his knife hidden under his pillow. The new neighbors begin covering their windows as soon as they arrive. The older man with Ellie is named Håkan. The next evening, Håkan does something strange. He captures a man and hangs him upside down in a forested area beside the road. He slits the man's throat and starts collecting his blood. Before he can finish, a dog and its owner arrive, forcing Håkan to flee to avoid being caught. Meanwhile, Oscar is outside practicing revenge again, stabbing a tree with his knife. Ellie sees him. When Oscar turns and looks at her, Ellie tells him without any prompting that she cannot be his friend. Oscar finds this strange, especially since he hasn't said anything yet. He also notices that the girl is wearing very little clothing despite the snowy weather. Ellie then returns home and scolds Håkan for failing to bring blood. The next day, news of the murder committed by Håkan spreads across the town. Oscar's mother is very frightened and urges him to come home early, but Oscar is not afraid at all. In fact, he enjoys reading about murder cases and even cuts out such news articles to paste in his diary. Later, Oscar secretly sneaks out of the house again and sits outside. Ellie comes to him. Oscar is solving a Rubik's Cube, which Ellie begins learning from him. Sitting close, Oscar notices a strong smell from her and asks if she feels cold, since she is barely dressed. Ellie says no. Oscar gives her the Rubik's Cube and returns home. As she watches him go, Ellie's face appears aged and her expression shows hunger. The scene cuts to a couple on a street, with a friend waving goodbye from a bridge. A girl approaches a man asking for help. As he gets close, she leaps onto him and attacks his neck. It is Ellie, who starts drinking his blood. The man's friend sees everything from above. This incident finally reveals that Ellie is a vampire, and Håkan was collecting blood for her. When Ellie returns home, Håkan scolds her severely. Oscar hears their argument from the other room. Later, the man who saw Ellie attacking informs his friends. First, they don't believe him, but he convinces them to visit the murder site. There, they find only blood, as Håkan has already disposed of the body in a river to protect Ellie. Morning arrives, and Oscar leaves for school and looks toward the window and feels a growing attachment to Ellie. But this time, he doesn't see her outside. Later at night, when he returns home, he finds Ellie already waiting for him. They exchange names and tell each other their ages. Ellie hesitates before mentioning her age, as she has been alive for many years. But based on her current appearance, she says she is 12 years old. School, Oscar starts making Morse code notes so that he and Ellie can communicate from their own rooms, as their walls are adjacent. One evening, on his way home, the school bullies stop him again and start harassing him. One of the boys even cuts his face with a metal plate. However, Oscar doesn't react, which unnerves the bullies. Later, Oscar goes downstairs and gives Ellie the Morse code sheet. He begins explaining how they can tap on the walls to talk. During their conversation, Ellie notices the cut on his face and asks him about it. Oscar explains what happened earlier that day. Ellie then tells him that the next time the boys trouble him, he should fight back boldly, and if anything goes wrong, she will take care of it. Oscar says there are 3 of them. Ellie replies that he should hit all 3 and hit them harder. Watching them from above, Håkan appears visibly tense. That night, Oscar brings a cookie for Ellie. She cannot eat human food, but to avoid hurting his feelings, she tries it anyway and vomits immediately. Still, Oscar hugs her quickly before leaving, as he is heading to stay with his father for a few days. Before parting, Ellie asks him a strange question. If she is not a girl, would he still like her the same way? Oscar does not understand the question and doesn't respond. At home, Ellie tells Håkan she is extremely hungry. To help her, Håkan goes to a basketball camp full of children. In the washroom, he finds a boy and quickly hangs him upside down, but the boy screams loudly and his friends rush in. Fearing recognition, Håkan pours acid on his own face and is taken to the hospital immediately. Using her heightened vampire senses, Ellie realizes that Håkan has been taken to the hospital. She arrives there to meet him. Her hunger is intense, and to keep her alive, Håkan sacrifices himself. He offers his neck to Ellie, who drinks all his blood. Afterward, Håkan falls from the hospital window, making it look like an accident. Ellie then visits Oscar's home. She lies down next to him. This time, Oscar again asks if she will be his friend. Once again, Ellie replies that she is not a girl. Oscar eventually falls asleep. In the morning, he wakes up feeling very excited, eager to play with Ellie. But Ellie is not there. She leaves behind a note that reads, "Either she can stay here and die or leave and survive." That day, Oscar goes on a school field trip. Once again, the bullies approach to harass him, but this time, Oscar is filled with courage. He warns them that if they hit him, he will hit back. The boys laugh at his reaction, surprised by his confidence. One boy slaps Oscar, and in return, Oscar strikes him on the head with a stick he is holding. Meanwhile, during the same trip, two children discover the dead body of the man Ellie had killed. Håkan had tried to hide the murder by throwing the corpse into a river, but due to the cold, the river freezes and the body doesn't drift far. The unusual nature of the death spreads like wildfire throughout the town. Later that evening, Oscar visits Ellie again and happily recounts his brave act. During the conversation, he cuts his hand, intending to show his loyalty and friendship through blood. But seeing the blood, Ellie loses control and lunges at him. Her behavior turns wild. She tells Oscar to run away. When he doesn't move, she flees herself, aware that after days without feeding, she can no longer survive without blood. She climbs a tree, waiting for someone to pass so she can hunt. The scene shifts to the man who had previously witnessed Ellie attacking his friend. He is sitting in a bar when his wife arrives to persuade him to return home. He becomes angry and his wife storms out. As she steps outside, Ellie suddenly jumps from the tree and attacks her, drinking her blood. Fortunately, her friend appears just in time and kicks Ellie away, saving her life. Ellie flees, and the man escorts his injured friend home. The next morning, Ellie opens a window and sunlight begins to burn her skin. Oscar, now staying at his father's house, starts feeling emotionally detached without Ellie. Unable to meet her each night, he runs back to his mother's home. Meanwhile, the woman Ellie had attacked, Virginia, begins experiencing intense bloodlust, indicating that she too has become a vampire. She is confused by her new cravings. When she visits a neighbor who owns many cats, the animals immediately sense something unnatural and attack her. Struggling and panicked, Virginia escapes and eventually reaches the hospital. Oscar visits Ellie's home again. By now, he has begun to understand the truth behind her strange behavior, and for the first time, Oscar asks Ellie if she is a vampire. Ellie does not hide the truth and answers yes. Then he asks if she is dead. Ellie replies no, she is alive. Oscar assumes she must be poor since she lives alone, but Ellie takes him inside and shows him her collection of wealth and valuable items, all stolen from her victims. Ellie tells him that if he ever needs money, she can give him plenty, but Oscar only wants friendship. Quietly, he leaves. The hospital, Virginia is visited by her friends, including the one who had seen Ellie attacking her. Virginia tells him the suffering is unbearable. She is trying to control herself, but fears the girl might not. She urges him to go and stop her before others get hurt. As morning comes, Virginia longs for freedom from this vampire life. She asks her friend to open the windows. As sunlight hits her, she burns and catches fire, ending her life. That night, Ellie visits Oscar's house for the first time and asks to come inside. Oscar jokingly says no. Ellie steps inside anyway. As soon as she steps inside, she immediately begins bleeding from her eyes, nose, and ears, nearing death. Oscar quickly gives her permission to enter, saving her life. They talk for a while and Ellie reveals her true, aged form to Oscar. Meanwhile, Oscar's mother is about to enter his room. To hide Ellie, he sends her back through the window. Later that night, he climbs through the window into Ellie's house. They talk all night and fall asleep together. In the morning, Oscar finds a note that reads, "I'm in the bathroom. I can't meet you now. Let's meet tonight." The note also says, "Oscar, you are the one I like." This makes Oscar very happy. The next night, Oscar visits Ellie's house again. Meanwhile, Virginia's friend has arrived too, intending to kill Ellie. He searches the house and eventually finds Ellie in the bathroom. Oscar sees him enter and, before he can harm Ellie, threatens him with a knife. Ellie wakes up from the noise and immediately attacks the man, drinking all his blood and killing him. Afterward, Ellie hugs Oscar, grateful that he saved her life, but she knows she cannot stay any longer. If she remains, she will be caught. She must leave. Oscar feels heartbroken. Later at school, Oscar receives a call. Some classmates invite him to the swimming court, pretending they want to be friends. No longer afraid, he agrees. In reality, the bullies have brought an older brother to take revenge. The brother tells Oscar he must stay underwater for 3 minutes, or else he will be killed. Oscar does not comply, so the boy forcibly dunks him, holding his head underwater. Other kids panic and beg the older boy to stop, fearing Oscar might die. But he doesn't listen. Oscar begins to suffocate underwater. Just then, the boy's severed head falls into the pool. His dismembered hand follows. Outside the pool, it becomes clear that Ellie has arrived. She kills everyone except the one girl who never hurt Oscar. The scene cuts. Oscar is seen sitting in a train with a large box beside him. Inside the box is Ellie. He is taking her somewhere else, as she cannot go out in daylight. From now on, Oscar and Ellie remain together, inseparable. The story ends here.